What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video brought to you by the Playbook Sports Podcast. My name is Colin, coming at you for the Week 15 preview of your Dallas Cowboys going to Buffalo to take on those Buffalo Bills.
Before we get into today's video, guys, I just want to give a special shout out to today's sponsors, starting with Gold Fine and Bowles, lawyers for the injured. Personal injury, workers' compensation, those are their two things, but any sort of legal advice, they're the people to call. Give them a phone call, 309-673-5144. Tell them we sent you, okay? And I'd also like to shout out SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video as well. Use promo code PlaybookSports on their website to get $20 off your first purchase of $30 or more. Let's get back to the video.
Now on Sunday afternoon at 3:25 Central. Dallas coming off both teams coming off a big win. Dallas coming off a big win at home last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that they, been back and forth with for the entire existence of their franchise, but the last few years really it's been Eagles Cowboys for the NFC East, and the Bills had a big one out in Kansas City against the Chiefs, and a game also like them had a lot of emotion behind it, and that's a team that they haven't been able to get over the hump in the postseason at least against, so that's a big emotional win for them as well. So it's hard to say. Neither one of these teams are really coming off. I really don't see a letdown spot in this game because both teams are doing the same thing, coming off a big victory over a rival that they've had the last few seasons, or even longer than the last few seasons. Dak Prescott coming in for the Dallas Cowboys, leading the MVP conversation, as we've mentioned for several weeks on end. Josh Allen has something to say about that, leading the league in total touchdowns with 35. It's going to be a great matchup. I cannot wait for this game. The one thing I will say matchup-wise, I hate is that Trayvon Diggs was injured in week 3 and is out for the season, because this was the game we were looking forward to all year. Little bro versus big bro, Trayvon Diggs against Stephon Diggs, and we are going to get robbed of that matchup with injury, unfortunately. However, on the Dallas Cowboys side, Deron Bland has been very good. As mentioned, the 8 interceptions, the 5 pick sixes, was picked apart a little bit a couple weeks ago in the first half against the Seattle Seahawks. And then last week, Stephon Gilmore came out of nowhere with a classic Gilly lock game against the Eagles. Stripping a pass, make a couple of huge tackles on 3rd and 4th down. A.J. Brown did end up having 9 for 94, but ultimately didn't end up mattering that much in that game. So Dallas comes in, as I mentioned, off a couple straight wins. Buffalo coming in, winning 2 of their last 3. But diving into that, everyone's talking about, Buffalo's emerging, and I guess, they beat Kansas City. Don't let Buffalo get into the playoffs. But looking at that, they're 2-3 in their last 5, and their 2 wins are by 3 against Kansas City, which, you deserve a lot of credit for going into Arrowhead and winning that game. But the other game they won was at home against the Jets. So take that with what you will. 2-3 in their last 5 with a win over the Jets and a win over the Chiefs. However, the Buffalo Bills are a great home team this season. They are 5-1 in Orchard Park when they are at home. Now, if you look at their overall home record, it's 5-2, but one loss extra was overseas in London, when technically they were the home team against the Jacksonville Jaguars earlier this season. So as I mentioned, Dak's coming in MVP favorite in my opinion. Call me a homer, don't care. 69.3% completion percentage, a little over 3,500 passing yards on the year, 28 passing touchdowns, first in the NFL, 6 interceptions, 107.5 passer rating, averaging about 270 passing yards a game. He has multiple passing touchdowns in 7 straight games. Outstanding. Can't talk about it enough. He's 4th in the league in passing yards at that 3,500, as I mentioned, 1st in the league at passing touchdowns with 28 on the season. On the other side, Josh Allen's also been excellent. As I mentioned, 35 touchdowns, total touchdowns leading the NFL. 66.9 completion percentage for him as well. 3,450 passing yards, 3,447 to be exact, averaging about 265 per game. 25 passing touchdowns to 14 interceptions. Not great, but that's the thing with Josh Allen. You're going to get a lot of touchdowns, you're going to get a lot of turnovers. 93.4 passer rating on the season. So just by looking at the quarterbacks, I know Josh Allen has 10 rushing touchdowns, and you can't take that apart. He also has about 375 rushing yards. But looking at these 2 quarterbacks passing only, Dak Prescott, better completion percentage. Dak Prescott, more passing yards. Dak Prescott, more passing yards per game. Dak Prescott, more passing touchdowns. Dak Prescott, less interceptions. Dak Prescott, higher passer rating. There should be no question coming into this game who has had the better season as far as passing goes. Now, if you want to argue overall quarterbacking with Josh Allen's rushing ability, we could have that conversation, but I'm still giving it to Dak at this point. Looking at the running backs here, Tony Pollard coming in with 196 carries on the year, 796 yards. So about 200 carries, about 800 yards. That's about 4 yards per carry, averaging about 61 rushing yards per game, 5 rushing touchdowns, 1 fumble lost. James Cook comes in on the year with 163 carries, 789 yards. So on 33 less carries, he's only had 7 less rushing yards. So he's averaging more yards per rush, more yards per attempt than Tony Pollard, 4.8 to be exact per carry, 60.7 yards per game. Only one rushing touchdown this season, which is kind of surprising. But when you realize Josh Allen has 10 rushing touchdowns, when they get down there, it's going to be Josh Allen that keeps it. It's not going to be James Cook. 0 fumbles lost though for Cook. So he's been pretty good this season. He's had 100 plus scrimmage yards in 3 straight games. So it could be a big part of the Buffalo offense. Looking at the 2 receivers in this one, the big one on each side, CeeDee Lamb comes in with 96 receptions on 131 targets, 1,253 yards. He's averaging about 96.5 yards per game, 8 receiving touchdowns on the season with 1 fumble lost. And that fumble loss was the last play of the Eagle game, which you're short of the end zone, you get tackled or you fumble and lose it regardless. Triple zeros on the clock. So not a big loss. He does have 7 of his 8 touchdowns are in the last 7 games. So he's really been coming on as of late. On the other side, Stephon Diggs, 87 catches, 132 targets, 993 yards, about 76.5 per game, 8 receiving touchdowns as well with CeeDee Lamb, 1 fumble lost as well. So you look at the 2 here. Stephon Diggs has 1 more target and has 9 less receptions and also about 250 less receiving yards than CeeDee Lamb. Same amount of touchdowns, same amount of fumbles. So I'm going to give CeeDee Lamb the edge just this season alone. So Dak Prescott gets the edge over Allen, in my opinion. James Cook gets the edge over Tony Pollard. CeeDee Lamb gets the edge over Stephon Diggs. Keep going down. We're going to go to the number 2 weapons on each team. This could be Jake Ferguson, the receiver for Dallas, and then it's going to be Gabe Davis, or the tight end for Dallas, and then Gabe Davis, the wide receiver for Buffalo. Ferguson has 51 catches on 74 targets, 570 yards, 5 receiving touchdowns, averaging about 44 yards per game, and 306 of his 570 yards have came after the catch. So he's been very dynamic with the ball in his hands, getting more yards, extending the play as long as possible. And hopefully these hurdles slow down. I'm not a big fan of hurdling myself. Just leads to injury, in my opinion, but they are electric plays, so we'll have our fun with it while we can. On the other side, Gabe Davis has 39 receptions on 69 targets. Nice. 595 yards on the season, averaging about 46 receiving yards per game, 6 receiving touchdowns, only 1 fumble loss as well. He has 100 more receipt. Looking at the targets here for Buffalo, it's weird because Dalton Kincaid, rookie tight end, has 100 less receiving yards, but he has 22 more catches. So that shows how electric Gabe Davis has been on these big plays. He's averaging about 15.3 yards per catch. So that could be a big thing in this game. We all know Stephon Diggs and Dalton Kincaid are going to be the underneath for Josh Allen, the quick underneath throws. Gabe Davis could be the long shot throw. So can you keep Gabe Davis in check? Can you limit those big plays for Buffalo down the field? That's going to be a big play coming into this game. A couple defensive guys I want to mention as well. Damone Clark for Dallas, I think, is going to have to be big in this game, as long with Marquise Bell. But zoning in on Damone Clark here, 83 tackles on the year, 4 tackles for loss, 2 passes defense, 1 fumbled recover. Has had a very solid year at linebacker for Dallas, stepping in for Leighton Vander Esch when he went down after that Niners game in week 5. The defensive back we'll talk about here is Deron Bland. I mentioned earlier he's been great with interceptions, great with passes defense. But it looks like as of late, a lot of teams are going to start to target him, with Gilmore being the more experienced corner on the other side. Let's go at the young guy who's the home run hit or miss guy. He's going to give up the yards, but he's going to get the interception. Let's target him to see if we can expose him. I think that's going to be a big part of Buffalo here. I think if I'm Dallas, I put Gilmore on Stephon Diggs underneath and say, hey, Deron Bland, run with Gabe Davis deep and don't get burnt by a double move, and just hope you can contain Gabe Davis deep. On the other side, we're going to talk about Ed Oliver, still a game wrecker. He's been that his entire career. Only 43 tackles on the season, but he has 6.5 sacks and 11 tackles for loss. An absolute disruptive force in the middle there for the Buffalo Bills. Can Dallas and their offensive line keep him in check in both the run game and the pass game? Another defender I'll talk about for Buffalo quickly is Jordan Poyer, a guy you always have to know where he's at on the field, especially with Tre'Davious White and Elam as well. That's 2 corners going down for Buffalo this year. It was announced earlier this week that Micah Hyde is going to be missing this game as well. So that's a safety going down for Buffalo. So this could be a big game for Jordan Poyer. He's almost going to have to shoulder the entire load of that secondary. Is he going to help with CD? Is he going to match up with Cooks, match up with Ferguson? Or is he just going to float in the middle there and play like a cover 1 zone in the middle? I think Jordan Poyer is going to be a disruptive force in this game, and you got to know where he's at on the field because he can make a big play. Quickly talking about injuries here. Dallas's injury report this week had 5 guys on it, but I think 4 of the 5 are going to play. Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Stephon Gilmore, all with an illness, questionable, but you got to think they're playing on Sunday, big game. Malik Hooker is questionable with an ankle injury as well. One of Dallas's 3 safeties they rotate in and out. Has had a great season. Hopefully he can be able to go as well on Sunday. Now, the one guy Dallas is going to miss, and they are going to miss him in this game, is going to be Jonathan Hankins in the middle, defensive tackle. He's going to be out with an ankle injury. Big body in the middle. They traded for him last season to try and shore up that run defense. Can Buffalo exploit that in this game? Without Jonathan Hankins, can Mozzie Smith, the first-round pick for Dallas, step up and fill that spot in this game? We will see. On the other side, I mentioned Micah Hyde already being out for Buffalo. That's the big one that's going to miss this game. As I already mentioned as well, Tre'Davious White, Elam as well. Matt Milano is one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL. Those guys were already out for Buffalo. So an already injured defense for Buffalo that's been kind of their Achilles heel this season is getting hurt again with Micah Hyde missing this game. So that's a big one. Can Dallas exploit it with their dynamic pass attack? Looking at some team statistics real quick, Dallas averaging 32.4 points per game. That's first in the NFL. Buffalo's averaging 26.8. So that's no slouch on their side. That's fifth in the NFL. Dallas 262.8 passing yards per game on average. That's second in the NFL. Buffalo 256.9 passing yards. That's fifth. So you have two top five scoring offense, two top five passing offenses as well. And this is the one kind of blemish on these two offenses, if you'll call it that. They're two top 11 rushing attacks. Dallas is the 11th best rushing yards per game in the NFL with 118.6. Buffalo is the 10th best with 122 a game. So two top five passing offense, two top 11 rushing offenses. Talking about the offenses as well. Dallas is plus 188 in point differential this season, and then Buffalo's plus 104. So two teams that are plus 100 in point differential going at it. Buffalo's plus 2 turnover differential. Dallas is plus 10 turnover difference. So as much as Josh Allen is discredited with all these turnovers, he's a turnover machine, yada yada yada. I've been one of the guys saying that for a while now. Buffalo's defense has done a great job taking away the ball themselves to still have a plus turnover difference. On the other side, let's talk about the defenses quickly. Dallas is allowing 17.9 points per game. That's fourth in the NFL. Buffalo's averaging 18.8 points allowed per game. That's sixth in the NFL. So two top 6 scoring defenses as well. Dallas is allowing 183.9 passing yards per game. That's fifth in the NFL. Buffalo is averaging 207.9 passing yards per game. That's 11th in the NFL. So two top 11 passing defenses. And here is much like the offenses. They're good at scoring. They're good at the pass, aspect of the offense and defense. They're not great at running or defending the run. Dallas is the 11th best rush attack, 13th best run defense, allowing 106 rushing yards per game. Buffalo's the 10th best rushing attack, 19th best run defense, averaging 114 rushing yards given up per game. So which one of these offenses, they're going to be able to throw the ball. Which one of these offenses could be able to run the ball? Which one of these defenses could be able to stop the run? It's going to be a big part of this game moving forward. As I mentioned, let's go back to the individuals very quickly. Dak, fourth most passing yards in the league with 3,505. First in the league in passing touchdowns with 28. CeeDee Lamb's third in receptions with 96. Third in yards with 1,253. And fourth in receiving touchdowns, tied with Stephon Diggs with 8 receiving touchdowns. Josh Allen on the other side, 3,447 passing yards, the 7th most passing yards in the NFL, 25 passing touchdowns, second to only Dak Prescott. And then he has 10 rushing touchdowns, as I mentioned as well. So 35 total touchdowns is first in the NFL. Stephon Diggs, 87 receptions is 7th in the NFL. And then the 8 receiving touchdowns is tied with CD for 4th in the NFL. All right, so let's get into the 5 keys to a Dallas Cowboy victory quickly. Key number 1, we're going to keep harping it, although they were perfect 3 for 3 last week. Red zone offense. Dallas, this is a game against a premier team that's very good in the red zone themselves. Can you convert when you get down there and get touchdowns instead of field goals? Looking at the teams here, 3 for 3 last week, Dallas was, as I mentioned. Buffalo's defense in the red zone is 15th best, allowing opponents to score on 53.66% of their drives. In the last 3 games, they've allowed touchdowns on 87.5% of their opponents' drives. Last 3 games, they've been terrible in the red zone defensively. Can Dallas exploit that? Because Buffalo has the 2nd best red zone offense on the other side of the ball. Dallas 15th best red zone defense. On the side, 15th best red zone offense. So it's the 15th best red zone offense against the 15th best red zone defense. Dallas is 56.1% red zone offense this season, 71.4% in their last 3 games. So Dallas has been trending about 15 percentage points higher in their last 3, whereas Buffalo is about 34% worse in the last 3. Can Dallas exploit the red zone and score touchdowns, not field goals? Key number 2 is going to be win the turnover margin. Dak Prescott last year had a horrible year with 15 interceptions, leading the league. This year he's been much better. Josh Allen, we know from when he's been drafted in 2018, he has the most turnovers in the NFL. I think he has the most turnovers this year as well. With those 14 interceptions and 3 fumbles lost, he has 17 turnovers this season. Can Dallas win the turnover battle, and can they make it hurt? Because that's how you win games. You take away the ball, you get yourself more possessions, you give yourself short fields with those possessions. Can Dallas win the turnover battle? That is key number 2. Key number 3 is going to be establish the run early. As I mentioned, Dallas's rush attack isn't great. It's the 11th best in the NFL. Buffalo's run defense is 19th best in the NFL. That's where you got to get them. You can demoralize them early. You can, establish the run the clock, hold time of possession. Everything comes with the run. When you establish a run, it opens up everything else on the field, including time of possession, including just wearing them out physically. Can Dallas establish a run early? That will be key number 3. Number 4 here is just plain and simple, contain Josh Allen, a guy that likes to extend the plays, a guy that, he's not looking to go down. He's not looking to slide. He's not looking to go out of bounds. He's looking to run through you, jump over you, or throw it past you. So can you contain Josh Allen in the pocket? Much like Jalen Hurts last week, Josh Allen's just a touch better outside of the pocket than Jalen Hurts is. Can't you contain him and not let him make these awesome, plays out of nothing? Can you not let him extend the play and make a big play? That's key number 4. All right, key number 5 here to a Dallas Cowboy victory will be to keep Brandon Cooks involved. A guy we didn't really see a whole lot of last week. He has 5 or less targets in 10 of the 12 games he's played this year. Can we keep Cooks involved? Because they're going to zone in on CD defensively, and they know Jake Ferguson's the number 2. If you're going to be an elite offense, you need to have 3 guys that you can throw the ball around to keep them guessing. Can you keep Brandon Cooks involved? Dallas Cowboys, you will have to keep Brandon Cooks involved to win this game. All right, so let's get to what you're all here for. Let's get to the final verdict, brought to you by the law offices of Gold, Fine, and Bowles. Go check them out. We have their information posted everywhere. Any legal questions or any questions at all, go ahead and reach out to them. Great guys over there. So the final verdict here, we have Buffalo Bills beating my Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately, I think the books have this one right. Why is Buffalo favored by 1.5 when they're 7-6 and Dallas is 10-3? I know Buffalo is a good team. Dallas is much better at home than they are on the road. But give me final score, final verdict. Buffalo Bills 27, Dallas Cowboys 24. I think this would be very reminiscent of when Dallas went to Philadelphia earlier this season. It's going to be very close. Dallas could have multiple opportunities to win it, and I don't think they come through, sadly. Buffalo's going to end up winning this game. Nate, I'm sorry. They're going to be right on your Dolphins' heels. Dallas is going to drop out of the division lead and just settle their spot in the 5th spot for the wild card and have to go on the road. Unfortunately, I think that's how this game goes out. I think Buffalo pulls this one through. Now, in the recap, would I be ecstatic if Dallas comes out and wins? Hell yeah. But would I be shocked if they lost? Absolutely not. So that's our preview for this game. Make sure to leave a like on the video. Leave a comment down below your score prediction for this game. And check out some of the other stuff. We got some good stuff out there. And we will see you after the game next Monday or Tuesday with the recap video. Thanks, guys, for watching. Peace.